there's a hard truth most people never want to admit. Their life isn't being held back by a lack of talent, a lack of opportunity, or even a lack of intelligence. What holds them back is something far quieter, far more familiar: their own mood. I know that truth because I lived that truth. I used to wake up every morning and let my feelings decide everything, whether I worked, whether I pushed forward, whether I honored the dreams I said I wanted, and year after year, I watched my life drift. Not because I couldn't do better, but because I kept waiting to feel like doing better. The most painful part wasn't failure itself. The most painful part was knowing I could change my life at any moment. And yet I didn't. Simply because I didn't feel like it today. Some days I was fired up and unstoppable. Other days I couldn't even trust myself to take the first step. My entire future rose and fell with my emotions unstable, unpredictable, uncommitted. And eventually, I had to face a question that shook me awake. If I let my feelings run my life, how could I ever expect my life to change? If you've ever asked yourself that same question, then today is your turning point. If you're tired of inconsistency, tired of starting and stopping, tired of letting your emotions dictate your destiny, stay with me. I'm going to show you the shift that rebuilt my life and how you can begin rebuilding yours in the next 90 days. The hardest truth I ever had to face was this: my life wasn't stuck because I lacked potential. My life was stuck because I kept obeying my moods. I thought I had a discipline problem. I didn't. I had a decision problem. I kept deciding based on how I felt in the moment, not based on the future I said I wanted. And when your decisions are controlled by your emotions, your results will always look exactly like your emotions: up one day, down the next, and going nowhere in the long run. Your life cannot outperform your daily standards, and your standards cannot survive if they depend on your mood. I started realizing something. My moods were not moral. They weren't right or wrong. They were just weather patterns drifting through my mind, temporary, inconsistent, unreliable. But I was treating them like commandments. If I felt tired, I stopped. If I felt unmotivated, I avoided. If I felt uncertain, I waited. And waiting became my lifestyle. That's when it hit me. Nothing in my life would ever change until I stopped letting my internal weather dictate my external actions. You don't build a future on feelings. You build a future on decisions. And the day I accepted that truth was the day my life finally started moving. Because the moment you stop negotiating with your moods, you start negotiating with your destiny, and destiny pays much better. One of the greatest turning points in my life came the day I stopped keeping my goals in my head and started putting my plan on paper. Until then, everything I wanted lived in a vague space: good intentions, wishful thinking, someday promises. But a plan that lives in your mind is nothing more than a mood disguised as a dream. The moment I wrote it down, everything changed. It became real. It became measurable. It became something I could hold myself accountable to. And here's the part most people miss. Your plan must be simple, not complicated, not impressive, not a 12-page document filled with inspiration. Just simple daily actions, small enough that you can do them even on your worst day, clear enough that your emotions cannot argue with them. A simple plan doesn't rely on motivation. A simple plan eliminates negotiation. When I created my first real plan, it had only a few items: talk to new people, follow up, study my craft, protect my health. 4 things. That's it. But I did them every day, especially on the days I didn't feel like it. And slowly, something powerful happened. My confidence grew, my consistency grew, and my results grew. Because success isn't built on intensity. Success is built on clarity, on knowing exactly what to do today, not someday, to move your life forward. And a simple plan gives you that clarity. Every single day, here's the hook you need to hear. Your life doesn't fall apart because of one big disaster. Your life falls apart because of the tiny things you keep telling yourself don't matter. I didn't lose years because I made catastrophic mistakes. I lost years because of quiet, repeated neglect, those harmless little decisions to skip the work, skip the habits, skip the commitments, And every time I whispered, just today, it'll start again tomorrow, I didn't realize that tomorrow was slowly becoming my entire identity. Neglect is never loud. Neglect never shouts. Neglect destroys you in silence. I used to ignore the small disciplines, reading 10 pages, making 5 calls, waking up when I said I would. None of those things felt urgent, so I excused them. But here's what I learned the hard way. Small disciplines compound, and small neglect compounds even faster. Neglect is like debt. It grows when you're not looking, and one day you wake up overwhelmed, confused about how you ended up so far from the life you wanted. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. You don't fix your life by doing something dramatic. You fix your life by no longer ignoring the little things. The small disciplines you avoid today become the regrets you carry tomorrow. And the small disciplines you practice today become the freedom you enjoy tomorrow. So ask yourself honestly, where has quiet neglect been stealing your future? And if you're ready to stop ignoring the small things and start rebuilding your foundation one simple discipline at a time, comment the number 8 below. Not for me, for you, for the future you refuse to neglect any longer. For a long time, I believed my problem was lack of knowledge. I thought if I could just read one more book, attend one more seminar, write down one more insight, then suddenly everything in my life would change. But here's the truth I eventually had to confront. I didn't have a knowledge problem. I had an action problem. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I just didn't do it. And that simple gap between knowing and doing was the gap keeping me from the life I wanted. It's easy to convince yourself you're improving when you're learning. Learning feels productive. Learning feels inspiring. Learning gives you a tiny hit of progress without forcing you to actually change. That's why so many people get stuck in the cycle of information without transformation. But knowledge doesn't shape your identity. Action does. You don't become disciplined by reading about discipline. You don't become healthy by studying nutrition. You become those things by doing them repeatedly, especially on the days you don't feel like it. The day I accepted this truth, everything became clearer. If I wanted a new life, I needed new actions. Not more ideas, not more motivation, not more theory. Just consistent, boring, unglamorous action. Knowing is the seed. Doing is the harvest. And until you start doing, your future can't grow. One of the most profound shifts in my life happened when I finally understood this. Every small action I take is a vote for the person in becoming. Every time I followed through on a commitment, no matter how small, I was casting a vote for a stronger, more disciplined version of myself. And every time I broke a promise to myself, I was casting a vote for the old identity I said I wanted to leave behind. Discipline wasn't just about getting things done. Discipline was about becoming someone I could trust. When I first began rebuilding my habits, the results didn't show up immediately on the outside. Nothing dramatic changed in a week or even a month, but something did begin changing quietly on the inside. I started respecting myself again. Self-respect is not built in grand moments. Self-respect is built in the invisible moments when no one is watching, when it's easier to quit, when you choose the harder right over the easier wrong. And once I began stacking those wins, something powerful happened. My identity shifted. I was no longer the person who tried. I was the person who followed through. I was no longer the person who needed motivation. I was the person who honored the plan. Your life cannot rise above the identity you hold about yourself. Change the identity, and the actions follow. Change the actions, and the results become inevitable. Here's a truth that hit me harder than anything I'd learned before. If you let your feelings vote on your future, they will always vote for comfort, not growth, for the moment, not the mission, for the easy road, not the right one. And for far too long, I let my emotions sit at the head of the table, casting the deciding vote on every decision I made. If I felt tired, I stopped. If I felt uncertain, I hesitated. If I felt unmotivated, I quit. I kept waiting for the perfect emotional conditions to finally act, and those conditions never came. That's when I realized something crucial. My feelings were not qualified to lead my life. They were dramatic. They were inconsistent. They were easily influenced by stress, sleep, weather, conversations, and even what I ate. Why would I trust something that unstable to guide something as valuable as my destiny? I began telling myself every morning, you can feel whatever you feel, but the plan is the plan. And on the days when I felt the worst, when I wanted to disappear into comfort, those were the days that shaped me the most. Because discipline built when you don't feel like working becomes the deepest form of self-respect you'll ever know. Your feelings are information, but they are not instructions. Your plan tells the truth. Your plan tells the truth. Your feelings tell the story you want to hear in the moment. So if you're ready to take the steering wheel back from your emotions, if you're ready to build the muscle of self-command that will carry you through the next decade of your life, comment the number 8 below. Let today be the day you stop letting your feelings vote on your future. The life you want deserves a stronger leader than your mood. One of the biggest breakthroughs in my life came when I finally understood this. Your life rises to the level of your systems, not your motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Motivation is emotional. Motivation depends on how you slept, what someone said, or what happened yesterday. But systems? Systems don't care about any of that. For years, I relied on motivation to push me forward. I waited for inspiration, waited for the spark, waited for the perfect wave of energy to carry me into action. And while I was waiting, time kept passing. Opportunities kept passing. My potential kept waiting, and I kept falling behind. It wasn't until I built real systems, repeatable routines, daily actions, clear standards that my life finally stabilized. A system doesn't ask, do you feel like it today? A system simply says, this is what we do every day. And when my emotions dipped, my systems carried me. When I felt lost, my systems guided me. When motivation disappeared, my systems kept me moving. That's the power of structure. It creates consistency, whether you feel consistent or not. A good system makes success automatic. A bad system makes failure automatic. And no system at all? That leads to the same results you've been getting. Build a simple system. Follow it daily. Let your structure become stronger than your excuses. One of the most important lessons I ever learned is this. Life is always accumulating something. Every day, you're either accumulating progress or accumulating regret. And the dangerous part is, you don't notice the difference right away. When I began changing my life, I didn't start with massive steps. I started with small deposits, 10 pages of reading, a few calls, a short workout, a simple act of discipline. None of these actions felt life-changing on their own. But that's exactly how success works, quietly, consistently, almost invisibly, at first. Small deposits compound. Small improvements multiply. Small wins stack into big transformations. But the opposite is also true. Small neglect compounds. Small excuses multiply. Small delays stack into big disappointments. Success and failure are both built the same way, one small decision at a time. The difference is simply what you choose to accumulate. Most people wait for a dramatic breakthrough. They wait for the big moment, the perfect opportunity, the sudden motivation. But life doesn't reward the dramatic. Life rewards the consistent, the disciplined, the one who keeps showing up even when nothing seems to be happening. Because something is happening. Your future is taking shape through repeated patterns. Every day, you're making a deposit, either into your freedom or into your frustration. So ask yourself, what are you accumulating today? There's a question I eventually had to ask myself, and it changed everything. If I keep living exactly the way I'm living today, where will I be 5 years from now? Most people avoid that question because deep down, they already know the answer. 5 years of mood-driven decisions will not create a life you're proud of. 5 years of inconsistency won't magically produce stability. 5 years of ill start tomorrow will not lead you to a version of yourself that you respect. Time doesn't change you. Your habits change you. Or they don't. And here's the truth most people never face. 5 years will pass anyway. The question is not whether time will move. The question is, will you? When I looked ahead, I saw two futures. One future was built on feelings, emotional ups and downs, excuses, tomorrow thinking, comfort first choices. That path was predictable. Regret, frustration, and a quiet sense that I had wasted the years given to me. The other future was built on a plan, daily disciplines, simple systems, small, consistent actions. Nothing dramatic, nothing flashy, but everything transformative. The gap between those two futures was not talent, luck, or opportunity. The gap was discipline. 5 years from now, you will arrive somewhere. The only question is whether you will arrive there by default or by decision. At some point in my journey, I realized this. I didn't need a new year, a new month, or a perfect moment. I needed 90 disciplined days. 90 days of doing what I said I would do. 90 days of following a simple plan. 90 days of refusing to negotiate with my moods. And those 90 days changed everything. People overestimate what they can accomplish in a burst of motivation, but they underestimate what they can accomplish with steady discipline. A 90-day window is long enough to shift your identity, yet short enough that you can commit without overwhelming yourself. The key is simplicity. Choose 3 to 5 daily disciplines, small, clear, non-negotiable, not goals, standards, actions you complete, whether you feel like it or not. Because when you follow a plan for 90 days straight, something remarkable happens. You begin proving to yourself that you are not the person you used to be. You stop chasing motivation and start generating momentum. You stop hoping for change and start becoming the change. And that identity shift is where the real transformation lives. Your life doesn't need a miracle. It needs a period of consistency powerful enough to reshape your habits, your confidence, and your belief in what's possible. Give yourself 90 days. Follow the plan. Refuse to negotiate. And you won't just see different results, you'll meet a different version of yourself. When I look back at the turning points in my life, none of them happened because my circumstances suddenly changed. They happened because I changed. I stopped waiting for the perfect mood. I stopped negotiating with my excuses. I stopped giving my emotions the authority to shape my future. And the moment I did, my life began to transform slowly, at first, then unmistakably. The truth is simple. Your future is built in the moments when no one is watching. In the moments when quitting feels easier. In the moments when your mood whispers. Not today. That's where transformation lives. Not in inspiration, but in consistency. Not in big leaps, but in quiet, steady steps. And now the question returns to you. Will you keep letting your emotions drive your decisions? Or will you take the wheel and follow the plan you know you're capable of committing to? You don't need to change everything today. You just need to change the direction. You just need to choose discipline over mood once, then again, until the choice becomes your identity. So write your plan. Choose your 3 to 5 daily disciplines. Commit to 90 days of no negotiation. Show up every day, especially when you don't feel like it. Because 90 days from now, you won't just have new habits. You won't just have new results. You'll have a new level of self-respect and a new future shaped by the person you decided to become. If you're ready to stop following your moods and start following your plan, comment the number 8 below. And while you're there, share one goal you'll commit to for the next 90 days. One comment, one goal, one new identity starting today.